Let's see here. We'll hear from Colliers. Tim, Alex?
Okay, so start off with budget. Passed out a spreadsheet here. Yes, I do. I have extra. We're doing well. We're under budget. You know, we're just the columns. Column A, the bottom of column A. I know it's kind of small. I put on my glasses to be able to read it. It's 32.3 million. Just under 32.4 million was our total budget. To date, we've been invoiced just under 22 million, 21.7. We've been contracted just over 29 million. We started buying some equipment, so there's just an invoice that came in for furniture, so that, for computers. So we have encumbered 490,000 this month, this period. But we're doing quite well. Change order wise, we're under 1% of the construction value in change orders. We spent about $238,000 in changes, and we have probably another 160 as pending items, but about 60 of that is, as we were mentioning before, is just proposed additional playground equipment. So there's certainly not everything on that list of $160,000 is going to bear itself out. It's just a kind of a worst case scenario that we're carrying. But if you recall, we had a contingency based on the bid savings of 2.9 million. So we've only spent $238,000. So we're doing quite well. To be under 1% with the building at 90% complete is kind of remarkably low, especially on a renovation project. Granted, we are still in the renovation phase, which is things come up, but they're kind of they're done with the demo. They're kind of putting it back together. So we think that we're beyond a lot of those big unforeseen items. Now it'll be a lot of little things as we close things out. It always is, but we're doing well.
Okay, that's a question.
Sure.
Item 5, under column D, you get a star that says over current contract.
Item 5. Yeah, we're in the process of doing budget revisions. That had to do with there was a lot of additional cost for the well testing.
Okay, no, I'm just curious, that's all. Just trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, there's amendments in the works, and one that just went through, I think, for the additional PFAS testing that we had to do for the well. I think that's probably what that is. Honestly, I'd have to look back through our full records to know exactly.
Okay, no, that's fine, I'm just curious.
Tim, the 32 million plus column A at the bottom.
Yeah.
That's the adjusted amount, correct? With the MSBA, didn't we make an adjustment and the budget was lowered?
Well, on what they would reimburse has been, what they'll participate in has been adjusted, but this was always your budget.
This is since the beginning?
Yeah.
Right.
It's just that when the bids came in lower, the funds from what we estimated the construction to be got moved down into contingency, just as kind of to keep them within the project in case we needed it, but to put it down in contingency and take it out of construction up above. What will happen though is if you were to spend that, the MSBA wouldn't participate in any of that. Any other questions on finances, or I'll let Adam go into kind of our recent activity and what's going to be coming up over the next month or two.
So in phase 4, the building addition, that's been completed since February. We've had a TCO since then, and it's been occupied since the 19th. In the renovation section, new windows, they've all been installed. They just got completed the testing of those windows, and everything passed. The MEP roughs are nearing completion. They're probably about 90% complete at this point. The new rooftop units have been installed on the renovation, and sheetrock is about 90% right now as being complete. Painting has begun in areas that they have access to, and casework is about 50% complete in the classrooms. The bathrooms, just about all the bathrooms are done being tiled now, and actually fixtures are being installed with toilets and sinks and all that right now. And the ceiling grid is, again, about 50% installed at this point. For the site work, they're doing final grading and seeding. They did some hydro seed in the front of the school, and some plantings with some trees. And they're continuing to do work in the playground area behind the school and on the east side of the school at this point. And then the new well, that's been turned on since April 18th. And since then, the old well has been decommissioned. And then just over the summertime, we're going to be doing some final asphalting, a top coat of asphalt and striping in all the parking areas. And that substantial completion we have for mid-July. And then for the moves that we have coming up over the summer, we have a couple different moves that we're going to be working with. So on June 18th, we scheduled the movers to come in and move all the contents out of the addition. And we're going to move them kind of to the lobby area as a holding pattern for while we go in, kind of complete some punch list items and some various work inside that area. And then we're going to have the movers come back on August 6th, and they're going to move those items from the lobby into the renovation section, because the teachers that are now teaching in the addition would then be moving in to the renovated area. And then the contents from West Street will come over to the addition portion. And then new furniture, we're coordinating with them right now as a mid-July delivery.
So there should be plenty of time to set up the furniture, set up the technology in the rooms once the furniture arrives, and to have all that ready to go for the start of school. We're fortunate they're pretty far along. They're on schedule. We had kind of this summer as almost a schedule contingency in case things went a little bit long. We had some extra time in there, but they're finishing on schedule, so we should be good to go for the start of school, open up the whole facility. So a lot of activity going to be happening this summer, though.
Were we ever able to do anything about that fire hydrant?
We were talking about it today, actually. What we're looking at is just, we're looking at the options of what's it gonna, sometimes the fix is worse than the way it is. So right now, we're just looking at this sidewalk's pretty nice.
You don't want to start digging it up.
Yeah, to start digging it up, then it's not gonna match other sidewalk. We were gonna take a look at just the layout of the pipes that feed that, and then go where it goes on to the next hydrant to see what work would have to be disturbed to move it.
Okay.
Yeah, I got some questions on that too. So why is this fire hydrant in the middle of the sidewalk there?
This was a mistake.
A mistake?
It was supposed to be
Well, not
on
a
the
change
edge.
order we have to pay for, I hope. If it's a mistake of somebody.
No, you wouldn't have to pay for it.
Right.
It's just a question of, do you do it? Do you have it moved?
Okay.
Yeah, it's not where it was designed. It's maybe not ideal, but the pros and cons of maybe you accept it for a fee. You ask for a credit to leave it where it is, or you say, you know what, no, pull it out. We don't want you to dig that up. So we were actually looking at it today. A lot of site activity happening this summer. That playground area in the back is getting really shaped out, but one of the next big things we want to do is talk about that parking lot, because now that the school, they've lived in the building for a little bit, you'll remember there were some issues with the traffic and the people picking up and piling up and going out into the road. And so we talked about, well, what happens when all the students are over there? What kind of issues are we gonna have? So we came up with some other contingencies for maybe modifying some curb lines to maybe pick up kids from the renovated area back by where they were picking them up in the first phase when the addition was under construction, as well as pick up maybe the younger kids out front, so you could have two simultaneous areas. And in order to do that, we would, again, need to make some modifications. We also talked about making some modifications for potentially some electric car charging stations. So we want to get all that kind of understood because we really need to start working on that pretty soon.
That's good. And then basically no surprises in the easement renovation, huh?
Well, there were some. But, you know, there's some places where we expected there to be a column buried in the wall to support the masonry above a doorway, and all of a sudden it wasn't there. So we had to add a lintel and some other things.
That's how we got it in under $1 million.
Yes.
Maybe find that body.
Well, there are some old coffee cans that are sitting up, and they're kind of wired up on the trusses right underneath the roof.
I
And,
remember seeing some of them.
you know, after that many years, you would think they'd be overflowing if it was a roof leak. So I'm not really sure why they were there.
Right.
It's kind of a mystery.
Very slow roof leak.
They were very slow roof leak. But no, there's been some
Somebody
items.
said, let's plan some interesting things for the next group that's.
Right.
Right, yeah,
Exactly.
Shake their heads.
But, you know, you see them in there's a few of them around, and you
Right.
look up there and you're like, what the heck is
That's
that
what we
doing?
used to have two custodians doing the building at night. They must have had other stuff to do.
Yeah, I mean, it looks great though. The media center is really taking shape now. They have color paint on the walls and casework going in, and
Are you able to, can people go in there to see any of that? Or is that off limits still?
well, you know
I mean, I'm curious.
generally, certainly the general public, that wouldn't be appropriate, but as a member of the building committee, if you have time, and Adam is on site every day,
Yep.
he could take you through.
Only spend a lot of time there, so I'd like to see what it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in when you pull in, I'm in the first trailer on the right-hand side.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
You should see the new library.
I'm curious. I'd love to see it in the library.
Looks great. It's exceeding my
yeah, absolutely.
our hope.
Yeah, it must be a big thing for you. You spent how many 38 years there? That was one, because when I toured it, it was mind blower for me. I mean, I didn't work there like you did, so it's like,
So you're gonna return? Is that?
Wow, only for a few minutes.
Yeah, my cell phone's on there, so just give me a call and give me a heads up.
Sent to
And,
the office and he's out of the.
right.
I had a couple of conversations about the stage, the old stage in the cafeteria, the renovation. Some of the controls, I was told, are too far apart, and they are not necessarily going to function the way they were intended. Some of the sound equipment is all the way in the back of the stage. Some of the things are too far on the side. Did you hear anything about that?
No.
No.
Is that the existing platform
In the
off of
cafeteria?
The existing
The old
renewed
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah.
Well, usually Bill is pretty
Vocal about it, yeah.
vocal. He lets us know what's going on, what's working, what's not working. I haven't heard
The
anything.
sound equipment or the sound control in the back caused some problems when we had a play a couple of months ago.
Okay.
Because typically they control everything from the front of the stage. So. And there was also a request, and I don't know who I shared that with, but it could have been a very inexpensive cabling on top for the lights, so that they don't have to push all the tiles each time they have to work in cable for lights for plays.
Cables for the lights.
So there's pendant lights that are coming down on the platform.
So what they do for the plays, which are still held at that location, they bring in external equipment, the lighting comes in and
Sure.
all that stuff. And to be able to connect those to electricity, to power, they have to work in the cable. And I was told that there was nothing really there, and the solution would be fairly inexpensive to just feed something and leave it there permanently.
No, that's not my understanding, because we did add electrical power, and there's a kind of a cove, whatever, the
Right,
trough there.
Right.
So there's a bar which you would mount those lights onto, and then right above that, there's power. So
Okay.
I'm not really sure if they wanted to turn them on and off and control them and to have different scenes during the show, or they're just on. Maybe it's the control wire that they would need to run something, but they shouldn't be popping ceiling tiles and putting things over. They shouldn't do
I think it
that.
happened at the last play, and that's
Yeah.
when I brought it up.
Yeah, they shouldn't do that.
So, well, I think it was out of necessity, but I don't remember the details, so I will see if I
Yeah,
can find out.
maybe it would be good to have the person who organizes that and runs that meet with us, and we could go through what their concerns are and how they're doing something, because you don't want to be, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, agreed.
So,
But also hopefully with the new stage, with the new lighting system that's in the gym, I think that all of these problems will hopefully go away as we
Yeah,
use
I don't
that
know,
new space.
I mean, the other thing is that I don't know how often that stage will be used for all the plays, because if you need the width, the width of that stage is not the same as the width at the old location, in the cafeteria. That one is wider, and you can expand it too.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think there was some feedback I got too. There were some things missed, I think. And this is not a criticism, but I think the way, who's using what, where, there was a lot of, when I can gather, I didn't know where to get involved in it because I'm not in the staff there anymore, but there was a lot of issues that it started and then interrupted and then never got addressed, I think. And so there's an issue there in terms of.
well, there was a change, if you'll recall, about adding lights for the stage and adding power, and so we did. If we didn't do what they wanted, if somehow the scope wasn't, we'd have to talk to them. You know, this is the first we're hearing of it, so.
Well,
Okay,
there was
so,
just, I think there was just some things missed somewhere.
Yeah.
But that's not a criticism of anybody here. Somehow, you know. the
And since
left
you
didn't
mentioned
talk
that
to
we
the
still
right.
have an opportunity to look at some of these things. The other thing is a personal observation that I want to ask about. The restrooms, the ones that are right there at the lobby,
Right.
the sensor connection to the power.
Under
was
the
all-
sinks?
Yeah, it was under the sink, all exposed, you know, you see plugs going in and out. Is that fixed or is it still the same way?
That's still the same way. That's,
Okay, I have never seen, I mean, everywhere I go now, it's, you know, sensor faucets and stuff. I've
Right.
never seen cables coming out and going into a plug to be able to do that kind of stuff.
So you're checking out all the other bathrooms now, huh?
Yeah, inspection.
Ladies room too?
That I delegate.
Those are the only bathrooms the kids are using now, I understand, right? They're not using the ones in the kindergarten, first grade rooms, those aren't being used? Is that what I understood?
correct. Those are, I think those are the shorter toilets and.
They're not letting the bigger kids
Yeah,
use
they,
those.
right.
So they're pretty much monopolizing the main bathrooms.
Well, there's one in
There's
the
another
connector,
set
there's
of
a set of
three,
bathrooms in there as well. Yep. I think that's the one they mostly use, and I think the teachers primarily use the lobby bathrooms.
Jay, what?
As long as you're using them.
Before we
Yep.
get into that, Mark,
Okay.
are we gonna be having a quote-unquote ribbon cutting ceremony when the building is complete?
I think we are. I don't think we can probably plan it without Cheryl and Bill here.
No, I'm just trying to say, is
Yeah.
we doing it in August? We gonna do it in September?
I was wondering that too, because they're getting a lot of questions from people.
Yeah, I
I'm just curious, because here we are in May, the end of May
I
almost.
just think we need to be able to tell people this. because
Speaking
they
for
have-
myself, that week, first week back is bad, but, because I have school starts and I actually have to take my daughter to college on that Thursday.
So that's why I was wondering, you wanna do it like mid-August or whatever, if everything is gonna plan to be done by August?
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Actually,
that's all.
that's a very good point, because at one point, I don't remember exactly when we had a conversation about the timing, whether or not for publicity reasons, you may want to move it up and then do that type of,
I would
You
do
know,
it in
stuff.
mid to late September, is what I would recommend, because the
Okay,
teachers
so
won't
it's
have set
on
up
that
yet,
end.
the room,
Okay.
there's, all this stuff will be in boxes. It really won't look as good. Maybe get the staff in there, let them kind of set it up, use it for a little bit, get some student artwork and things on the walls and that sort of stuff. Certainly, the people who have been in there, it's kind of a ceremonial ribbon cutting, but maybe you hold off and you do it a little bit later, then it can be more, look like a school, not, kind of a construction site that hasn't moved into yet.
I think Cheryl said something about involving students too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, who's responsible for that? Is it the school building committee, or is it?
Well, it'd be
the school?
us in conjunction. I mean, we're not gonna do anything, we can't make decisions for the schools, so we'd have to, we won't be able to make that decision without Cheryl and Bill, I would say.
Well, kind of like the groundbreaking, they kind of got, I think this committee suggested that they do something like that, and then they kind of ran with it. MSBA attended and said a few words, and some other people, and I think you could do something similar. We've had other ribbon cuttings where a representative from the MSBA will attend, and other
State reps and
state
senators.
reps, and that way you can get the kids involved. I was thinking of Northborough.
Northborough had a nice one.
They had a nice one, yeah, and certainly have that big gym now with the bleachers and a stage and a nice new facility to do that.
Is there a parents' night in September? I don't know, you know the calendar better
I
than I
don't
do.
remember.
Usually have a parents' night, so that,
Yeah, we moved
seems to me
those.
we'd like to have the open house to the public before the parents' night.
Yeah, the parents'
Seems
night,
to
I
me,
think, moved
but-
into the year a little bit, so that there would be
don't know when now?
something, I don't know exactly, I can find out.
Yeah, I haven't seen the calendar yet, but.
Then the only other question I have after that, Tim, is when will the building be fully commissioned upon occupancy?
That takes a long time.
Is that
So,
3 months, 6 months?
no, it's a full year. The commissioning agent comes back about 10 months and reviews, retests some certain things, make sure that everything is still functioning. Once we get through substantial completion, which would be in mid to late June, there'll be the punch list to be finished, and usually that takes, they'll take the balance of the summer, it'll probably go into the fall with certain things, whether they're back-ordered equipment or materials. So the commissioning usually drags out a little bit. We are trying to finish up what we can. Adam was talking today about trying to get the commissioning agent on site to do a roof scan. So something like that we can do now. At the end, usually it's the balancing reports of the HVAC equipment, the controls, making sure that the training has all been done. So the commissioning, it takes a long time. And I will point out that you can't submit your final requisition to the MSBA for reimbursement until the final commissioning report is submitted. So the reimbursement from the MSBA is capped at 95% until the final commissioning report is submitted. So that's a year after construction is completed. I'm not sure what percentage we're up to at this point, but there is certainly a delay there.
Okay.
J-Law?
Not too much to report that hasn't been covered. I did want to bring up the change order for the playground equipment that Tim mentioned. So all along, we had been considering some additional playground equipment that could either be fundraised for later or could potentially be part of this project, as the change orders have remained relatively low and the bids came in under. We wanted to at least explore paying for it as part of the project, or at least bring it to you as an option. So we asked the school district, and they requested 3 structures, primarily for the younger grades: a omni spinner, a lolly ladder, and some playform play cubes, which are these large plastic kind of geometric shapes. The total for all of the equipment installed is $57,494. We could do 1 or 2, or all 3, or none at all, but we at least wanted to bring it to you for discussion.
And that's for the playground on the Maximilian side,
Correct.
for the young.
Right.
What was there initially before this request? Is there anything there?
We have some landforms out there, and we have a small slide, and I think we have 1 small swing set out there, and kind of this, network of paved paths that would work well for scooters or tricycles. So there's some infrastructure there, but there were also kind of spots left in the plan for future equipment, as it was.
Well, we can discuss them,
Raised.
but really can't vote because we don't have enough people, right? So.
Right.
Then you would want the other people involved in the discussion, to be honest with you.
Like members from the school district.
Okay.
Well, I guess we have to.
Something to think
meet pretty
about.
soon, right? Can't wait too long for that kind of stuff, right? If you want it in for the start of school.
Can't wait too long.
Yeah, we're gonna need to schedule another meeting.
Yeah.
People could come.
Well, on here, they're looking at 14th of June.
Okay. If you're done, we can schedule the next meeting. Unless you want to tell us something else.
That's about it.
Okay.
Is there another meeting scheduled for the 14th of June?
For you. Remember Rob Cannon threw that date out for the meeting of the school committee, the selectmen, and the finance committee to continue discussions on how to address the
Long-term.
long-term, yes.
Well, there are some members in this group that are in the other group.
Yep.
The 14th won't work, right? Not for our meeting here.
Well, unless we can get other people here to replace
So
them.
that could be a stretch, Chris, right?
See, I'm not on the 19th, so I don't know. Any other suggestions on dates?
The night before, 13th.
It's fine with me.
I don't know about anybody else. For you people, I'm just, for you, the guys that, well, that's what, 2 days after the,
At town meeting, yeah.
yeah, you don't expect
School
that.
may not want to be with us at the same table.
Maybe we can do the Kumbaya thing at that point.
Have to separate things here, right?
All right, so we set it for the 13th then?
13 is fine.
6:30 here.
Yeah, and we might as well do it here again.
We don't want to meet at the school? Met there once, right, when nobody was there also?
Yeah.
In April?
Yeah,
Well, that's because I was here. I was here filming the hearing for the Route 202
Yeah.
changes, so.
yeah, we'll stick with this.
I would suggest maybe send that out to everyone, hey,
Today,
13th,
yeah.
right now. And hopefully
Yeah.
have people say yea or nay, so we don't hold people up, because you guys got busy schedules, I'm sure. Hold it up and then,
Okay.
people here have busy schedules, you guys are busy that week.
And I could just say attendance is really,
Yeah, really.
really required because we need to take some votes. So maybe that.
Otherwise, the schools will not be able to have any extra. If we don't have a,
Well, then they just don't get playground equipment, that's all it
well,
is.
that would be the default thing, because
We'll just have to put sticks out there and the kids will have to play with sticks.
Is
Leave
anything,
some construction sticks.
anything occurring in the courtyard area between the buildings, between the doors?
That was left pretty open, so there's a lot of bulbs that are going in, so it'll look nice from inside, but there's no equipment or anything out
No
there.
equipment, but no money for any kind of plants or anything, right? in that?
We have lots of bulbs in there, so the planting will look great, especially in the springtime. And then it's got a no-mow grass and a simple kind of serpentine path.
Because I know there's a person
But
who's got
that's
a grant
pretty
from
much
the MTA that's gonna afford doing something within there.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. They didn't share that yet with you guys yet? No.
Not with me.
Apparently not.
Robin the Mortar, I know, wrote it for Grand MTA, and she got approval of it, you know, so. My wife get involved as a master gardener because they wanna keep it, you know,
Michelle, Master Gardener?
yeah. And others, because you don't wanna put big stuff in there to block that's gonna grow big and,
Right.
Right.
but yet then people are concerned about who's gonna maintain it and, you know, that whole issue that always comes up.
I heard there's this all-natural strong garlic thing that you can spray to keep away mosquitoes and ticks.
Kill everything else.
No, it just makes everything smell like Italian salad dressing for a little while. But I don't know. Amazon, most people said it worked.
Well, there are, I think there are about 1,000 bulbs going into that courtyard. So if there are any
And
plans
who's putting those
that
in?
we should know, the contractors are.
Contractors. But those can't go into the fall, right? You don't plant bulbs in the
I
fall.
don't know when, I think so.
I'm not a master gardener.
Yeah.
I do not know.
I'm not either, but usually don't plant before like.
I don't think they did them
September.
last, we were wondering if they do them last year. I don't think they had it
No.
prepped.
We had a lot of back and forth and discussion, and we've been talking about planting and hitting the planting season, and, you know, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I do remember a lot of it was sort of left to volunteer group to make something happen within there. Because, you know, it's a nice space in there when you think about it, really
Really
nice
nice.
space.
I think it's a nice size. It came out.
Then you gotta check how much sun gets in there and all that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So made.
Second. All in favor? Aye.